Hi there, teachers. I'm Victoria Carlton. I'm a teacher, I'm a teacher educator, and I'm also a writer. And this is number 4 in a series of just short little videos I've made about teaching maths and what I believe, some of the things that I believe are really important when it comes to maths education. So I call my program Home, Hands-on Maths Education. And I just want to share just some of the things with you that have worked. So keep in mind that this is number 4. So if you haven't seen the other 3, you might like to go back and have a look at them. I've emphasized through the 3 videos I've made that maths is all around us. It's really part of everyday life. It's part of the rhythms of nature. It's about order and harmony. It's something that we need. Basically, we all need it. And I do believe that all kids can succeed at maths if it's taught the right way and if it's taught in a hands-on way. So sequencing and patterns are so important. It's so important that children can perceive patterns, not just in mathematics, but in history, in geography, in English, and everything they do, they need to be able to look at sequences and patterns as well. So with young children, this can involve things like bead threading, geometric wrapping paper. I've just been looking at my what the crap paper and thinking, I could do some interesting things with that. Sticky dots, copying a pattern with graph paper, especially for older children. Story ring, going around the story and telling a story and adding on a piece with each person. And of course, jigsaw puzzles too. Jigsaw puzzles are really, really good for sequencing and thinking, what do we need to come first? We need to have the 4 corners. What comes next? We need the straight edges. What do we do next? So there's so much sequencing and pattern work involved in jigsaws. I do a lot of number magic activities where we'll pick a number and we will brainstorm that number. And sometimes we make up wanted posters for that number. So we might say, searching for number 9, all right? And of course, the properties of 9 are, 12 take away 3, 18 divided by 2, all the different things that 9 can do. Okay, so we pick different numbers, we make up wanted posters, and we brainstorm them to try and think of all the things that we can about that number. This is something I do with all ages of children as well, not just with young children. It's very important that we work a lot on time with children, helping young kids to understand what actually is a second. What can you do in a second? What could we achieve in a minute? How long does an hour take? um, Going through calendars. I collect calendars from my local shire. I actually use the calendars to help kids to understand mathematics. We do a lot of calendar work, and we do a lot of work with the seasons, using our names for the seasons and the Noongar names for seasons as well. We go through the calendars and we write down dates of family celebrations. And I encourage all the families that I work with to make up family timetables as well to help these kids to feel organised. Because a lot of the kids that I work with have a very sort of sloppy idea of what time really is, a very expanded view of what they can get done in a particular area of time. And they're not necessarily very good at timelining and planning projects. So daily plans are very, very important for children. Knowing what are we going to do today, what comes first, what comes second, what comes third, in exactly the same way that it's really important for us. But we are so used to doing this, but kids aren't, and they really need a lot of help with that. I particularly notice that with kids that I teach that go to high school. When they first go to high school, they have a lot of trouble with time management, managing their assignments, just managing their stuff, managing to know what to take each day and managing what they have to carry around in their backpack like a turtle every day, all of those sorts of things. I believe that times tables are essential. They do matter, they really do. And I can't tell you the number of kids that I teach between year 6 and year 10 who are stuck in their maths because of a lack of understanding or, the inability to really master their times tables. There are no easy ways. You just have to say them. You can jump up and down, you can clap, you can throw a ball. It doesn't matter what you do. It's better to be active with it, but they actually do need to learn their times tables. Starting in grade 1 with 2 times, gradually getting up so that by the end of grade 5, they know all their tables automatically. And that's one thing that they don't have to worry about. And it's going to give them an edge in class, in school, in university, everywhere. So do the tables in active ways. I get the kids to clap, snap, jump, juggle as they're doing it. We sing them. We write them out in colours. I use Post-its. I'm just doing some at the moment where I've got a child needs to practice their 12 times tables. And so I will make up the sums on one piece of paper. Sometimes I use the same colour, so sometimes different. And I will have the answers on another one. I have them all juggled up. And when they're working with me, they have to put them all together. Just simple ways, but kids need round about 10 minutes a day to master these. And there are no easy ways. You just have to do it. It's like cleaning your teeth. Just do it. Also, kids have got to understand, and so do we really, that practice makes perfect. So we need to restrict calculators because we want mental maths concepts to develop. And we also need to find ways to weave maths problems into everyday life. So I'm doing some teaching with some kids at the moment in place value, and I'm having to look at ways that I can actually teach kids about place value using real life problems. So you've got an example there. I'm going to the supermarket. I need maybe $80 for shopping, 50 for petrol, 45 for grandma's present. How much will I need to take? So the budgeting problems that we have. So all sorts of problem solving to help kids to understand that maths really is about life and about solving problems as well. So when we're doing maths, there's so many materials that we can use. So the sorts of things that I use a lot of, I use a pile of marbles. I've got a massive box of marbles I use a lot. I've got all sorts of different counters, pop sticks, pebbles, plastic fruit. I've got, big barrels of plastic fruit, paper plate, and I use real money. When we're learning about money, I use real money. I don't use play money because I sort of think that the kids need to actually touch the coins, feel the weight of them, and feel what the paper money feels like as well. I'm pretty keen on Cuisenaire rods. To be honest, I've been keen on them all the way through my teaching life. I've just got a set here. The thing about Cuisenaire rods is they use different colours for different numbers. And in the beginning, you just get the kids to actually just play with the rods. But there's so much that they can learn. And I have yet to find a child that I can't teach mathematics and particularly the basic processes and fractions as well. With Cuisenaire rods. They just work. They really work. So they are a collection of rectangular rods. The smallest one is only 1 centimetre long. The longest is 10 centimetres. So this is basically what they look like. And you can do all of the main equations using Cuisenaire rods. So you can see you can take a 6 rod, a dark green. You can put a light green on top, which is equal to 3. So you put it on top and the kids can see, oh, that will mean 3. The answer to that will be 3. I need another 3 to find out the answer. So that's 6, take away 4. So I put them right on top and I say, I can't cut the rods or I won't have any left, but I can put them on top of each other and we can see what would fit in. So we do lots and lots and lots of different equations, different sums, and different small problems too, using Cuisenaire. And I find it to be very effective. My current squeeze at the moment is something I really, really love a lot and have done for the last 3 or 4 years is Numicon. All right, I've got boxes and boxes of these, and I use them with nearly all the kids I teach. I actually use them with my high school kids to teach them about percentages as well. Numicon is a very, very good math scheme, extremely good. Look it up on the internet, find out a bit more about it. But it's that you can do all sorts of things with it, and you can work with kids from 3 years, right through to 13, 14, 15 years with it as well. I think that when we're teaching mathematics, we need to be in the right emotional state. So if you're feeling very uptight or worried or concerned, it's pretty hard for kids to take in information that way. And using color seems to help the kids that I work with to relax. And I think it helps me. I think that when I use colors to organize materials, it helps me to relax a little bit and to get more organized. And definitely one of the brain's abilities is this capacity to recognize color and to work with it. So colors actually create an emotional response, and they help us to interpret and to remember. So attaching a color to a number is actually a very good thing indeed. So I think we need manipulatives, lots and lots of materials we can get our hands on that help kids to see and grasp mathematical concepts and relationships. This empowers kids to move from the concrete to the abstract. And if we try to teach anything mathematically without having hands-on and without using manipulatives, we don't seem to get the same results. It might look as if we do. It might look as if, oh, yes, they did that worksheet. But then further down the track, we find that actually they didn't really understand that at all. It is terribly important, even though it makes for a messy classroom and it takes longer to set up the lessons. It's terribly important that we do have hands-on. Even for kids that you think are doing really, really well with maths, don't skip the hands-on. So number lines are really important. I've got so many different sorts of number lines. I've got very simple number lines like this, longer ones. I've got really, really long ones. I've now got a really, really long one that will stretch all the way down our church hall. And the kids absolutely love it because we can look at positive numbers and we can look at negative numbers as well. It helps kids to organize their numerical thinking. So all processes can be taught, and even young kids can understand positive and negative numbers. I talk a lot about going up in the lift and coming down to the basement and going down in the lift as well. So I think that using number lines is a great way for this to happen. I also use a lot of catalogues. Now you can see here I've got an Aldi catalogue, and I often use these as actually part of my lessons. So when I go to Aldi, I don't just take one catalogue, I usually take 10 with me. So, and in this one, I put a bit of paper on the front and I put, unfortunately, Aldi have raised all prices by 50%. Round all items to the nearest dollar and reprice them. So the kids all get, a marker and they have to go through their catalogue and do that. So I collect Kmart catalogues, Aldi, anything I can get my hands on, because this is real life. This is real life maths. And the thing is, when they work with catalogues, when they're working with real life maths, things that really do happen, they're not as stressed, because when kids are stressed, they don't learn in the same way. We need to really remember that stress actually creates an electrical storm in our brains, making it impossible to think, which is why when we are very stressed, and we're really, really uptight, this is not a good time to make any decisions about education or actually about anything at all. So what we have to do is create an environment that, whilst it's challenging and interesting, it's got to be stress-free. So I've got a student at the moment I'm working with who she's now in an environment that is actually stress-free, but it's not challenging at all, and she's starting to get very bored very quickly. It's really important that we have some challenge, not too much, but we don't have too much stress, because if you have too much stress, you don't get too much learning. So we will get problems. We always do have some kids who have a little more, just a little bit more of a challenge when it comes to learning mathematics. So what we have to do is roll back the understanding until you get to where did this break down. That is so important, even if you have to take that child off by themselves or in a small group. Don't kill the maths experience with worksheets. Just doing worksheets is not actually teaching, all right? That might be helping to cement the understanding. It might be helping to practice what they're doing, but it's not actually teaching them. And please don't send worksheets home that kids really can't do, because often their parents can't either. So check for deep mathematical understanding and be liberal with your praise and encouragement. And we need to make maths an everyday experience. And remember that young children, and actually older ones too, are strongly kinesthetic. They need to get their hands onto things, and they will always benefit from a hands-on learning program. So don't just presume that it's just young kids are like this. Older students will benefit from using manipulatives as well. So when I'm actually doing PD with teachers about teaching mathematics, I have an area that looks just like this, and I have teachers all over the place, playing with the manipulatives and seeing what they can actually learn with them as well. So we all benefit. We all benefit from hands-on. Really important. If you go back to the model that I spoke about in the very first clip that I did, and I talked about how my model for all teaching, literacy and numeracy, is what I call the CREAM model. So in every lesson, there needs to be something creative to honour the creative in all children and in us. There needs to be some time to reflect on our learning. Did I really, really understand that? Is this relevant to me? How can I apply this in real life? Is this experience engaging? Is it explicit? Do I know what I'm trying to teach children when I actually go about it this way? And is there plenty of opportunity for action for children, because they're not going to sit there quietly like you are as you're listening to this. And multisensory. How many senses can I get involved in the learning? Because I seriously mean this, maths is fun. I love teaching maths. I didn't always, but I do now. Now that I allow myself to say to kids, I don't really know how to do that. I've had to say that to dozens of year 9s and year 10s. I don't know how to do that. Let's find out together. When we look at it as a series of problems that really matter to us and matter to life, maths is actually fun. It's interesting, really, really interesting. And maths is for everyone. It is part of life. So I hope you've enjoyed these 4 videos. Please share them with your colleagues. And please let me know if you have any fantastic hands-on maths activities. I would love to know about them. Okay, thanks. You have a great day.
For more of Victoria Carlton's tips, go to YouTube and search Victoria Carlton Programs. Victoria's products are available on Teachers Pay Teachers. They cover literacy, emotional intelligence, and Sunday school lessons. Victoria's website address, blog, and email address are on the screen in front of you. Victoria Carlton reserves the right of copyright on all her products.